Welcome to this month's Conan Fitness Platinum webinars. This month we're looking at practical diet tips for the whole purpose of increasing adherence to one's dietary regime. And today we're interviewing Chris Fonda. Chris is an accredited practicing dietitian, so he's a nutritionist and dietitian. Chris, tell us, what's the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist?
Well, Luke, a dietitian is a health professional who's undertaken over 4 years' worth of a tertiary study at university. They also have undertaken supervised sort of clinical experience sort of out in the field, and they're able to obviously provide individual dietary advice specific to that person's needs. And they also work, I guess, with people who have chronic diseases and other sort of health conditions as well. Whereas,
yeah, so in other words, a dietitian has a higher level of qualification than a nutritionist. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, today what we want to find out from you is some practical tips when people are planning their meals for the week or for the day. We find a lot of people know what they should be doing, or at least have a rough idea, but when it comes to adherence, sometimes it drops off. Like they say, they know what they should be doing, or at least have a rough idea, but it might be a time factor or a convenience factor, or people are obviously time poor. So can you tell us some, firstly, around planning? What can people do when it comes to meal planning to help them increase their adherence around things like being time poor, or maybe a convenience factor for people in their daily lives?
Alright, so the first thing that your clients can do is just jump onto www.eatforhealth.gov.au and sort of have a look at the new Australian Dietary Guidelines and also the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating that's on the website. So basically it basically runs down into your food categories, so your different food groups. Obviously there's 5 different food groups that you want to choose from, and it's just an idea to add a bit of variety to someone's diet. So when meal planning, a good thing to do is to set aside a day or two, or even one day a week, and sit down and actually write out Monday through to Sunday, and sort of plan your meals around the week after.
Yeah. So in other words, you're not just planning your meal when it's time to eat your meal.
Yeah.
What am I having for lunch? I'll see what I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, set a bit of time for meal planning. It doesn't have to be hard. And you can sit down, you can do it with the whole family as well, and get it involved.
Yep. And then what about the allocations for those meals? Like, how would you break them up throughout the week?
So basically, with your meats and things like that, you want to have red meat 2 to 3 times a week, fish once or twice a week, and then sort of fitting in your chicken and your turkey or poultry sort of stuff in and around that as well. So you kind of have a bit of a variety with your meat group during the week. And yeah, so what you want to do is set a day aside each week to plan for the week ahead. So what you want to do is write down from Monday to Sunday, and so you want to include obviously like a whole variety of different foods. So if you start with the meat group, you want to have red meat 2 to 3 times a week. So it can be a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for example. You might want to fit in fish once or twice a week, so it could be a Tuesday or a Saturday. And then filling with chicken as well. You also want to make sure you're including plenty of fruits and vegetables, so they all go for 2 and 5 message there. So 2 pieces of fruit a day and plenty of vegetables. Vegetables are really great. They're cheap. You want to buy it when it's in season, as they're cheaper. They've got a high nutrient value, and also they help to fill you up and keep you full for longer as well, with the fibre in there as well.
Excellent. All right, what about when you're actually shopping? Like practical tips for someone goes to the supermarket, they're about to fill their trolley for this week's plan. What's some practical tips you can give us?
So using the plan that you've kind of set out, you want to make sure that, number one, you don't go to the shop when you're hungry. So that's the main thing.
Absolutely.
Make sure you have something before you go, or you don't go on an empty stomach, because you tend to shop for the wrong types of
affect what I shop for, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep. Shop around the perimeter. You'll notice that when you do walk into a shopping centre or a supermarket, you'll notice that all the fresh produce is generally around the outside. So you want to fill up go to your fruit and veg section first, then you got your meats, you've got your dairy as well.
That's a good point. I never actually thought about that until you mentioned it. Or most of the crap is in the middle, isn't it?
That's it. So try and avoid as many of the aisles as you can.
Yeah, good.
And shop around the outside.
Excellent.
So also when you're at the supermarket, look for foods that are more nutrient rich rather than energy dense or calorie dense. So things like, you want to avoid your processed foods, so your cakes, your biscuits, your processed meats, your soft drinks, your confectionery, all those sort of things. They're high in energy, but they don't contain a lot of nutrition. And you want to go for more your nutrient dense but energy sparse or calorie sparse foods. So they're the foods that are going to give you the maximum amount of nutrients, but not lots of energy. So things like your fruits and vegetables, your whole grain breads and cereals, your lean meats, your low fat yogurts, and things like that.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, what about from a convenience and palatability point of view, Chris? Like when people get to eating the meals for their day, a big thing is convenience because of people being time poor, and obviously taste. So people go for what's more palatable, and if they're hungry and in a rush, they generally just go for what's quickest and easiest, and it's generally a bit of crap. So what are some tips around meal planning that's convenient but also helps them to plan a healthy meal?
So things that are convenient is things like when you're snacking, for example, things like fruit, nuts and seeds,
easy.
A tub of your low-fat yogurt. They're real quick and easy, and like I said before, they're going to be nutrient dense but not energy dense. So they're going to fill you up without a lot of calories.
Excellent. You've got a little diagram there I see in front of you, Chris. Can you explain that? That looks like your diagram for packing your plate.
Yeah.
A plate, and that's portion sizes or something, is it? Explain that to us if you can.
Yeah, so basically with your dinner meal, we'll take dinner for example. With your plate, you want to make sure that half your plate is filled with fruits and vegetables, well, mainly vegetables. So they're things like your salad vegetables, so lettuce, tomato, cucumber, capsicum, those sort of things, or other cooked veggies like your broccoli, cauliflower, beans, pumpkin, things like that. So you want to fill that part of your plate up first, and then a quarter of your plate should be your protein source, so things like lean red meats, it could be mince, it could be chicken, it could be fish. If you're vegetarian, it can be things like legumes, lentils, chickpeas, tofu, things like that. And going back to your vegetables, you want to make sure you include a variety of colours as well, so not just one colour. So the different colours represent different antioxidants in your fruits and vegetables, so you want to be getting a mixture. And what I recommend to my clients and patients is that they choose 3 different colours with their vegetables.
Excellent. So not just green.
Not just green.
Green's good. Let's make it colourful. Mm-hmm. All right. And that was good. You listed a bunch of things for variety. So does that mean it's as simple as half your plate being filled with veggies there? You've got a quarter of your plate protein, a quarter of it carbs. Can you just list some of those healthier carbohydrate sources? Yeah,
so your carbohydrate sort of portion of your plate should be about a quarter. So things like potato, sweet potato if you like a lower GI option. Rice, it could be pasta, it could be quinoa. It's important to remember that corn fits in this carbohydrate group as well, so it's not an actual part of the veggie group. Yes. It's a vegetable, but it's got more carbohydrates,
Absolutely.
So we fit it in the carb section.
Good
so
point.
You can add corn there if you like as well.
Look, a lot of what we hear, Chris, is when people say you shouldn't be eating pastas and rices and potatoes and things like that, and people are really turned off pastas because they're told that it's very fatty. What I find though is the big difference that people don't understand about what it's mixed with, like the sauce. And a lot of people say that pasta or rice or potato by itself, as in cooked in a healthy way, is quite a healthy carbohydrate source, but when they mix it with those really oily sauces and obviously the fattier options that you can certainly get, that might be where it really ramps up the calories.
Yeah, that's correct. So obviously carbohydrates have been given a bad rap, but on their own, like you were saying, that they're completely fine. They're a good source of fibre. They're going to give you lots of energy as well. But yeah, just avoiding dousing it in too much fatty sauce. So stay away from your creamy based sauces and go for a more tomato based if you want something.
Fantastic. That's excellent. So that's around planning and convenience. Any kind of final messages that you could give to our listeners as far as meal planning and preparation to increase adherence to their dietary regime?
Yeah, well, it's important to remember that eating healthy and healthy eating is not Doesn't have to be difficult, and we don't all have to be master chefs to be able to cook good food. So it's just simply about bringing it back to basics, going back to the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating sort of plate model to show you variety, and just, really sitting down and being conscious of what you're eating as well, rather than just, sitting down in front of the TV.
Eating it because
it's there. Yep.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, Chris, and to our listeners. If anyone has any more specific questions, it might be around allergies or certain foods that they can't eat and they want to know substitutions, send your questions through to us at info@Konan.Fitness, and we'll get Chris to answer them for you. So until next time, I hope you enjoy our practical diet tips with Chris Fonda. Thanks.